All right, everyone, get in here, sit down, and shut up. We've got stuff to talk about. And that stuff is Week 10 of the NFL season is finally here. Week 9 is done and dusted. I went 8-6 last week, 85-50 for the year. I just want to take a moment here. If this is your first time seeing it, or maybe this is the second time seeing these videos, I'm not sure, and you're not subscribed, I really would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel. If I'm picking your teams to win, you should definitely like the video, because obviously I'm right. And if I'm not picking your teams to win, maybe comment down below and tell me what kind of an idiot I am. But looking at the games last week, I really, 8-6 doesn't feel too bad considering the Packers-Panthers game. The Packers should have won that game. I don't know what's going on there. Everything, 9 times out of 10, the Packers win that game, I feel. The other one was definitely the Lions over the Vikings. The Vikings, I can't believe, win that game. Lions at home, I just really thought, who didn't think the Lions were going to win that game? The other one, which was more me than I think, anything else, was the Colts game. Steelers-Colts. I was just finally hopped off the Steeler bandwagon where I thought maybe they were, they're a pretender. And I was just on the Colts bandwagon all in the same week thinking, okay, Colts are for real now. And of course, the Steelers go and beat the Colts there. So 3 of those games, I definitely feel like maybe any other week I'm right, but just that week I wasn't. But anyway, this week buys, we have the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Titans. All 4 of those teams not playing this week. So let's get right into this week's games. First up, we've got the Thursday night game. The Raiders heading to Denver to take on the Broncos. I think this is pretty straightforward here. The Raiders aren't really a good football team, and the Broncos just seem to be rolling. They are probably a lock for the playoffs. Now, Broncos will win this game quite easy. Falcons head to Indianapolis to take on the Colts, and even though I just said, the Colts, I just hopped on their bandwagon and they went and lose, I'm going to stay on their bandwagon here. I think the Falcons, while they seem like they're like the best of the bad teams, I kind of feel like the Falcons are. I think the Colts at home will probably beat the Falcons this week, though. Next up, we've got the Ravens heading to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, and I got to be honest, I think the Ravens are about to go on a little bit of a run here. They just got the win against Miami in Miami last week. They got the Minnesota Vikings this week. I think with Lamar Jackson back, they probably start to rack up a few wins here and there, and the Vikings will be one. I do think the Ravens will beat Minnesota in Minnesota this weekend. Next up, we've got the Bills heading to Miami to take on the Dolphins, and part of me wants to say the Dolphins maybe get this win because they've already lost to the Bills, but it's just not going to be the case. Also, because I'm not picking the Dolphins to win another football game the rest of the season. I do think it'll probably be a decent enough game. It's either going to be a really close game or it's going to look like a close game by the end of it because of garbage time. The Bills might just come out and just mollywop them around, and then by the end of the game, the Dolphins get garbage time points and make it look respectable, but it won't be. So I feel like it's going to be one of those two where the score is going to look close by the end. Just how they get there, I'm not sure. But either way, though, the Bills will win that game. The Browns head to New York to take on the Jets. I don't think the Jets win another football game this year. I think they are done with winning football games as far as that goes. Browns will win this game. I think the Browns are probably a smidge better than their record. I think they are, unfortunately just a quarterback away. I think the rest of the team is pretty solid. That defense seems like a pretty good defense. But the Jets have just done a fire sale and gotten rid of a bunch of big pieces on defense. So I look for the offense to have a pretty easy time there for the Browns, of course. Jaguars head to Houston, take on the Texans. I will say this is probably the first game that I was not sure of. I kind of wanted to take the Texans, but I'm not. I'm going to roll with the Jaguars here. I think the Texans, which they are actually underdogs at home, which is kind of surprising. Vegas sees something there. I think I'm going to go with the Jaguars. Jaguars just seem like a team where they're just getting wins one way or the other, and I think they'll get one here too. Patriots head to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, and again, we've got another one that was a bit tough. I wasn't sure I wanted to take here. My gut says the Patriots. They're playing really well. But I think my heart's going to make me pick the Buccaneers here. I think Baker Mayfield gets one over on the Patriots. It's just the Patriots defense, that hard-nosed defense they've kind of got, probably Vrabel, who's wearing off on them a little bit there, is just kind of like that exact defense that Baker's going to excel against. And I could see the Buccaneers winning this one at home. But I think it's probably going to be a really good game, I bet. Probably a high-scoring game, if I had to guess. Saints head to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Saints are a bad football team, and I guess the Panthers aren't. I did kind of say at the beginning of the year that I thought the Panthers and the Jaguars were both going to be a lot better than they were last year, although I thought the Jaguars had a better chance of it. But it seems like both are pretty decent. I mean, the Panthers are 5-4 now this season. I did not expect that. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Panthers here just because I think the Saints are a lot worse than the Panthers. However, it does feel like it's one of those, it's just two bad teams playing each other. It's also a division game, so I can see the Saints getting a win for no reason here, but I'm still going to stick with the Panthers. Next up, we've got the Giants heading to Chicago to take on the Bears. I don't think, I think the Giants could win another game this year, but I think the Bears are kind of on a roll right now, and I think playing at home, I kind of like the Bears. I don't want to pick the Bears. I'd like, if this was like, what team do I like the most? I'm probably picking New York, which is crazy because I don't really like any of the New York teams. But the Giants, I think they pull at my heartstrings a little bit more than the Bears here. So I would like the Giants to win, but I think the Bears are going to win this one. Next up, we've got the Cardinals heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I do ultimately like both these teams. I think the Cardinals are kind of in that Falcons territory of like the best of the worst teams. So they're going to be a tough team to like put away. But I think Seattle at home, Seattle just seems to be rolling. Darnold to Smith and Jigba is just clicking. They've got the running backs there as well. I don't really think the Seahawks have had many injuries this season. Hopefully I'm not jinxing them right now. But it just seems like they've been playing pretty healthy. So I think the Seahawks probably get a win here. The Lions head to Washington to take on the Commanders. And unfortunately, I do not think the Commanders are going to win another football game this year. I think the one reason they would win a football game, his arm is completely in different places than it should be. So I do think, while I would probably have taken the Lions anyway, because the Lions coming off the loss, probably about guaranteed money as it gets, I think the Commanders in general are probably in a tailspin now, or are going to see themselves probably finish near the bottom of everything now. The Rams head to San Francisco to take on the 49ers, another division class that NFC West is all playing each other this week. This one was tough. I feel like taking the home team here, the 49ers, but I just think the Rams are a better team. I think the 49ers just feel like they're missing something. I can't put my finger on it. I think it's going to be a good competitive game, but I just think the Rams come out at the end and get the win. Steelers head to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. I've been on the Chargers bandwagon all year long. I just got off the Steelers bandwagon last week, and then they went and proved me wrong. I'm going to go with the Chargers here against my better judgment, because I do think the Steelers are a better team than what it seems like. But I think the Chargers... Here, let me back up. I think the Steelers' defense is not quite as elite as it normally is, and I think that's really going to bode well for the Chargers because they have good pieces for the offense, but without Joe Alt in the lineup, that it is tough for them. So I think that's just going to be what the edge here is. The Chargers have a pretty solid offense. They like to run the ball. It's probably going to be a really low-scoring game because both these teams are probably going to run the ball like crazy. But I think at the end of the day, I'm excited to watch this one because I do like both teams. I'm excited to see how both teams do, come playoff time. But I'm gonna roll with the Chargers here on this one. All right, and our Monday night game sees the Eagles head to Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Packers feel a bit like the Bills here. I feel like I've been watching them play like every single week for some reason. And didn't they play the Cowboys on Monday night? Or was it Sunday night? I can't remember. I'm looking it up here real quick. Packers Cowboys, yeah, because that was a double Monday night. So they play the Packers. So they played the Cowboys Sunday night. Now they play the Eagles Monday night. This is a tough one. The Packers losing to the Panthers really makes me question what's going on there. Eagles coming off of a bye week, probably not a good recipe for that. But it's like I feel like I need to take the Eagles because they're coming off a bye week. Good teams off a bye week, especially teams that like to run the ball. They probably win the majority of their games. Packers coming off a loss, I feel like I got to take them because they're coming off a loss and they're a good football team, and good football teams don't generally lose multiple games in a row. So I am a bit perplexed here about who I should take for this. I'm ultimately going to roll with the Packers, mostly because I do think Jordan Love is probably a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Packers are at home, so that to me gives them the edge. I could totally see me being wrong here. I could totally see Hurts having a really good game, just despite my comment about him not being as good as Jordan Love. But that said, I just think the Packers, coming off that loss, probably just have a bit of a kick in the butt there to get going and get a win here. And I think they beat the Eagles. All right, those are my picks for the week. Thank you so much for watching. I've already asked you to like, subscribe, and comment and all that fun stuff at the beginning of the video, so I won't do it again. But maybe comment down below, tell me what you think of some of my opinions. I love to talk football, so if you want to talk football with me, you found the right channel. Comment down below, and I will gladly have any conversation about football you want to have. So, with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you did, I really do appreciate it, and you take it easy.